Computer, yes. Okay, we are recording. Welcome everyone to our third team call for 2018 Obsession. We are absolutely crushing this year so far. Before we pressed record, we were just talking about some ups and downs. I know for me, I've had a lot of roller coaster moments this week in week two. Just more, head game type of stuff. And these are the things that usually come against me when I start to really focus on something. I start to have that self-doubt. I start to doubt the process. I start to want to go back to my old ways of cutting corners. I start to get lazy with, do I really, need to measure this or that? I don't know if you guys can relate to that tonight, but for me, that's definitely been my week too. But I got to a point where I remembered all the things that we talked about on week one and before we started, and that was, I'm going to trust the process. I made my mind up from day one that even, because I knew I was going to feel this way. I knew that this is what I go through, and most of us go through this, especially right around this time. It's right around that day 10 to day 14 where you start to be like, let me add a little bit of extra of this, or let me cut this out, or let me, and not that it's ever going to be perfect because we're humans. I mean, that's part of being human, but it's really that time where, for me personally, I start to let things slide or start to slack. And I made my mind up that wasn't going to happen. And so the emotional head game started where I felt like, that voice started saying, well, why are you even doing this? This isn't going to work. You've tried to do so many other things. You start and stop. It's all you did last year, start and stop. This is just going to be the exact same thing. You're going to let yourself down. I mean, literally the voices started. And I really had to pray a lot and quiet those voices because they're going to come. If you have a habit of negative self-talk or, listening to that enemy of your soul telling you that you are not worth change and you're not strong enough and you can't do it, and all those things are going to come against you. So that was my week this week. And the practical part of me really needed to remember that the little tiny steps that I'm taking every day, and some of them feel huge because these workouts are really hard, they matter. You might not see a change for several weeks maybe, but you are taking yourself inch by inch in the right direction. And so the book that I'm reading, I'm just going to share real quick, I shared before, is The Compound Effect. And the reason I love this book so much when I'm focusing on really, honing in on my fitness is because of this incremental decision making that seems like nothing is happening. I've lost only 2.2 pounds, and I know that the scale is not, the best indicator. I know all those things, and I'm rolling with that. And for the most part, I'm usually okay with that. But it still can be disappointing, and so I have to constantly, sometimes a couple times a day, I have to remember every decision that I make either takes me towards or away from where I want to be. There's no in between. So even though it's one little thing, like if you ever, watch videos about smoking, or if you were a smoker or whatever, and they tell you, one cigarette is not going to kill you, right? But it's still taking you away from where you're going. And it's the incremental, the snowball effect that starts to add up over time. And all of a sudden you have an avalanche where before you saw a couple snowflakes and it didn't seem like anything was happening. So for me, it's a huge mental game for me, more than the physical. And I have to really stay in the right frame of mind. So that was helpful for me this week to remember every decision counts. Every decision matters. So don't let that voice tell you that, it's okay to compromise, or that why are you doing this anyways? It's not going to make a difference, because it's a lie. It will make a difference. It is making a difference. And if I just stay the course, I'm going to arrive where I'm headed. I just have to stay the course. So what I wanted us to do for each other is, if you have a quote or something from the book that you're currently reading, if you don't, it's okay. that you find helpful for you throughout the week. I wanted us to kind of share those so that we had a little mental preparation for this week to kind of hold on to. And if you don't have it on the call tonight, that's okay. We can always share it in the group. So I have one, and then I'll open it up for you guys to share too. And mine's really short. It says, this is about the compound effect. It says the most challenging aspect of the compound effect is that we have to keep working away for a while, consistently and efficiently, before we can see the payoff. And then he goes in to talk about how our grandparents kind of knew that, how we have like a microwave mentality, but back in the day, they knew, like, you don't use credit cards, you wait till you have the money. Everything is done from the inside out kind of thing. And now we're so impatient. We're like, what? I lifted, I did 10 reps. Like, why am I not seeing a bigger muscle? And it's true. It's hard not to have that mentality because that's kind of the life, the society we live in. And so that's another battle you're fighting while you're doing this program. Trusting the process sounds cute, but it's a real struggle. You have to trust it. You have to know that, nope, I might have even gone up a pound today, but I know that I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm going to see the reward if I stay the course. So that was really helpful for me in my week this week, because like I said, my head game started kicking in, and I started feeling like, and then my husband didn't show up for a couple morning workouts. He worked out in the afternoon, and I was like, see, like maybe I should do that too. And then I'm like, no. I made my mind up. I'm setting my mind, and I'm keeping it set. So that was my week. So whoever wants to share, if you have anything to add or share, please do. And I'm going to open it up.
All right, I'll go. Like anybody, we all have our ups and downs. As everybody saw, I was struggling with this cold, which kind of put me in a slump there, but I told myself I was not going to let it get me down. Although, on the other hand, back when I was doing Pow Week there with Core de Force and all that, or 22-minute hardcore and stuff like that, I was kind of having a cold myself, and I stuck to that 3 workouts a day and ended up in pneumonia. So I have to learn to listen to my body more and not push myself and just, know when enough is enough. So that has been a struggle. And I think I overdid it with cardio on Saturday, and last night I was totally down and out. Feeling a little bit better today. So anyway, along with the books I started last week, I was reading Without Rival with Lisa DeVere. I actually have a couple because it kind of really tied in perfect. Anybody that knows me personally, I struggle a lot about my worth or seeing others as better than I am or stronger than I am because they do more, they serve more. And it just fit in perfect this week because we were putting on our sticky notes about how we are worth it, and we have to believe that we are worth it. So this book last week I said was about comparison and competition and how we tend to look at others, not just others, but ourselves as rivals, and that tends to limit ourselves of what we really believe. And I'm not sure if everyone is a believer, but this book is about believing and finding your true identity and as God intends us to see ourselves through Him. So a big one that I've always, and Heather Winder, my pastor's wife, has always drilled this in my head about comparison is the thief of joy, and how strong that is when we see each other and ourselves as unique and not the same. That takes some of that limit off of comparison. And we really believe that, we're unique in our own ways. We all have, individual differences and strengths and weaknesses, and we don't see each other as competitors. Then that envy that we tend to see if somebody's better at something kind of goes away, and that's where we can come in and admire and encourage more. And that's what we need more than ever in these groups, because we need to stay, excited as, we're entering into week 3. That same excitement as in day 1 has to continue to stick with us. But
yes,
there's two quotes that I found in here, which were perfect. This one I just jotted down. Trials have the power to transform us from who we are into who we long to be. So as trials do, so does challenging ourselves does, or it does the same thing. And then this one I actually underlined, if I can just read it. And it is ultimately not about our pace, but about how we finish our race. And it's not about our pace, but how we finish our race, meaning persistence, faithful, steady obedience will always win over casual and inconsistent bursts of activity and enthusiasm.
Mm.
And it says if we stumble along the ways, which so often we do, we have that moment where we slip up and eat something we're not supposed to, or we miss a workout. And even when we fall, if we pick ourselves up and head in the right direction, God will bring us home. So anyone can create a wishing well. We all want to wish for how we're going to look or how we're going to feel, but we want to dig deep wells. I thought that was perfect.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Your phone is cutting in a little bit and out. Can you tell me the name again of that book? I'm going to look that up.
Without Rival.
Without Rivals.
Yes, for Lisa Bevere.
Rivals. Oh, that's so good. I need that book.
I know. This is my second time reading through. So I knew little bits and pieces that I always go to when I tend to fall back into that same mentality. So that has been a struggle for me, and it's something I've been praying for a very long time.
Yes. Kendra, you know, I'm very similar to you. I've always, the one thing I feel, not the one thing, but I feel so thankful that God gave me the gift of laughter for healing, because I don't know how many people in my family that you know that live in Olean, but like that was my uncle who, when my cousin Michael died, he died at age 21. He had cancer for 1 year and it took his life. And he was like the favorite in our whole family. And we were all devastated. Michael and I were the same age. We were 6 months apart. And he died at 21. And we were at the funeral. And my uncle was speaking at the funeral. I mean, he's burying his child. And he's cracking a joke. And I thought, wow, you know, God has really, we always find some way to laugh even in our pain. But the thing that I've always struggled with is my identity, you know, the comparison, the inferiority complex, always feeling like somebody is more capable, somebody is just better. And it hasn't always necessarily led me to jealousy, but more of a self-hatred, more of like, why can't I do that? And what's wrong with me? And I don't measure up. And, you know, just all those things that we can go through, even on this fitness journey where it's like, man, that person's excelling faster, or that person's more consistent, or that person can cook better. I mean, I don't know. It could be anything, but it's just, I think a lot of women especially go through this because of society too, the pressure that you get to be a certain way and do a certain thing and have a certain thing, and you know your identity is in your looks and all that stuff. So it really does tie into our fitness, because you come into this and you really do have to have a confidence that you can do this, that you can finish what you started, so you can stay strong even when you feel weak, and you can show up even if it's not your best day. Right. You know? So, oh my gosh, I got to get that book. Thank you for sharing that.
Very good book.
I need that. Meredith, are you there? Can you share?
I am. Yeah, I am here.
Okay. I can hear you.
So kind of like you guys, I've, you know, dealt with the same issues this week. It's ups and downs, just kind of feeling the same way, like, you know, wanting to not do the workouts. Plus I had a pretty exhausting week at work. Just, you know, no less than 11, you know, 12-hour days.
Wow.
Which takes a toll. But I stuck with it and came home and did my workouts when I got home. Totally exhausted. So, you know, 8 o'clock at night, I'm doing my workouts.
Which is so cool.
I did it. I still did it. And, you know, got through them, you know, pretty good until, what was it, yesterday, I guess, when I heard that little pop in my ab, and don't know what it was, but it is feeling better today though. So hopefully it's on the mend, and we'll see tomorrow how I feel when I try to work out.
Yes.
but it has been definitely, a struggle where it's like, when I come home, it's just like, oh, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to work out, but I, kind of made myself just come upstairs, change, and go right back down, because I know if I didn't, I would go back into those habits of stopping and not starting again.
Yes.
And I've kind of made it in my brain of making small goals instead of looking at the larger goal.
Yes.
And I think that's helped me get through this week. Kind of every day.
Absolutely.
I haven't read much of my books this week because of that. But I actually came up with a quote. I had to come up with a quote for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So for the therapist that I'm seeing, she made me come up with a quote for myself.
Okay.
And so the quote that I came up with to find for myself, I kind of liked. So I just figured I'd share that one with you guys.
Sure.
And it just said, every time you thought you couldn't keep moving forward, you did. Take a moment to appreciate your strength.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh.
So it kind of
sharing that do you mind writing that out if you don't have to, there's no pressure, but I really like that quote a lot.
Yeah. I think I have a picture of it. I can forward it to you.
Okay.
Or I can put it on the page if you want me to.
That would be awesome.
But yeah, I had to find a quote for myself, and I've been kind of struggling to find a quote for myself because I too struggle with that self-worth thing, and that's one thing that I've been working on in the last couple weeks, and it's taken me about 2 weeks to actually find a quote for myself, and I kind of have to look at this every day and read it to myself and believe in it, and I'm starting to. So
that is wonderful.
So, yeah.
And I know, being somebody who struggles with that self-worth, it's hard to, like, I can give you a quick, long, and very quick list of me and all my flaws. I can rattle them off and probably give you about 50 different things in no time at all. But when you have to say nice things about yourself, that's where I struggle. And it's just like you, it's taken me a long time. I've gone to counseling at several different points in my life for different reasons, but even my post-traumatic stress with, the death of my daughter. And when I had Gabriel, I had to go back and go to counseling. And what we ended up uncovering was, yes, I was having post-traumatic stress from that time in my life, but it all came back to not feeling worthy. It was crazy how even that, when we kept digging, it kept coming down to me not feeling worthy of love, me not feeling good enough, me not feeling that I can accept forgiveness, me not feeling that I can move on from my mistakes or move on from pain, or, just it all came back to the same point that needs to be healed. And so I know that I've been in fitness for a long time, not just as a Beachbody coach, but I'm also a personal trainer. I don't train anymore, but I'm a certified personal trainer. And I just know, doing this for so long, how it really, everything comes from the inside. And for me, the one thing I didn't want to do for my own journey or as a coach was, it's so easy to just focus on the outside because you're physically doing work. You're doing the fitness, you're doing the nutrition, you're eating. That's all physical things. But I really want to dig deeper, because I know that you can't last when you're not doing this from the inside first. You just can't. You come to the end of yourself. You can willpower your way to a certain point, and then once you get to your weakest link, you're done, unless you're pairing that with keeping it real about what you're struggling with and working on those things that's so much more important than the physical part. So, when you have a day where you have to let your body heal, if you're like me, you're a perfectionist, you're like, I was on a roll and now I have to stop and I'm going to be behind. That's another lie from the enemy. It's you doing what you need to do at your pace. There is no behind. Behind what? Behind what? There is no behind. You're just showing up every day. And one of the fundamental things that I learned as a personal trainer was consistency is actually there's, I think, 5 components of fitness. There's flexibility, consistency, intensity, and I forget the other ones. But consistency is the most important one. And the reason is because if you can't stick with it, it doesn't matter how hard you can go. It doesn't matter, how far you can go. It's showing up every day. So on those times when you have injuries, or like Kendra, you get sick, or something comes and interrupts the flow, we have to remember that to do what we can and to take ego out of it and say, if you couldn't do the full workout, or if you couldn't do the full moves the way you normally can, or whatever it is, the fact that you're showing up to it, and maybe you're just showing up and doing 2 minutes of the workout, but you're creating that consistency of showing up for yourself, showing up and creating the habit. Like you said, coming home, I know if I sit down, I'm not going to do my workout, so I'm going to go right upstairs, change my clothes, and come back down. Just showing up, even if you didn't get through the workout, is cementing that into your brain. It's making you realize, you know what? I do what I say I'm going to do for myself. Because people like us will show up for other people all day long. We'll show up for other people, show up on time to work. Doesn't matter what time it is. We'll work, like you said, you're working 12 hours. Kendra, sometimes she's up at 2 o'clock in the morning getting ready for work. She's doing this program. We'll do it for, no, please. We'll do it for other people, but all of a sudden it comes to us and it's like, it's compromisable. It's negotiable. And that's the part where the self-worth comes in. You have to show up for you the way that you show up for somebody else, even if you can't go hard in the workout, even if you can't do it 100%. Cement that so that you start to believe you're worth fighting for. You're worth showing up for. You would do it for somebody else. We have to do it for ourselves. And for people like us, that's a very challenging thing to do. But that's why we have each other. That's why we have these groups. That's why we lock arms. That's why we talk about these things, because these are real struggles. This isn't about looking cute and, posting a sweaty selfie. This is real stuff that we're doing. And we all want to be better so that we can enjoy our lives to the fullest, the way God intended, and serve and love others and do what we're supposed to do. But if we're struggling physically and don't have our health, we're not going to have what we need to do those things. So we need each other. And I love these calls so much because it just reminds us that we're human, and that while we're going through our week and feeling like everybody else is great and we suck, we get on these calls and remember, nope, that's not true. Everybody else is great, and everybody has times where they suck. And that's all there is to it. Uh-oh, I hear one of the boys crying. I knew it. It was only a matter of time with all that rustling. It's like, they're crazy. I just want to let them wear helmets in the house and go at it. It's like, just put a helmet on. That's all I'm asking. But anyway, so I'm going to get off the call. I'm going to end the call for us. If you all have anything else you want to share or add, please feel free. Thank you for getting on. I know that, it's a sacrifice to get on these calls, but I hope that it's going to help you. And it definitely helps me in the week to come. It helps me to just take a deep breath and say, okay, I have a community of friends to do this with me. I'm not alone. I'm not just, being everyone's cheerleader. These are people who care just as much about me as I do about them. And it really does help me to stay consistent. So I hope it's serving you, because that's what it's supposed to do.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you. That was a great call.
Yeah, it helps to know that people are dealing with the same issues too.
Yes, absolutely. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for being on. I will post. I didn't post last week, so I have 2 calls to post now. I'll post this one and last week's call in our challenge tracker app, and we're gonna get ready for week 3. I'm actually excited about it. And for those of you who don't know, wine is like my one thing. You know, I like to drink wine, and I feel that God's been working on it for a long time, and I have not wanted to hear it. And so, you know, I haven't had this whole time, and so I'm really praying that this will be. I'm not saying I'll never have a glass of wine again, but I just know that I need to have clarity of mind, and so I'm hoping that this will be a turning point for me to do something different, you know, to use that time that I would normally relax with a glass of wine or whatever, to use that in a different way that serves me better. So again, I don't have anything against alcohol. I really don't, to a certain degree, but for me personally, I feel that God's been showing me that I need to, you know, do a different thing. And so this program has helped with that too.
So are you doing good on the water intake?
I'm not.
Well, I was going to say, I actually really pushed myself.
I know. I've been better. I have been better, and I've been getting LaCroix in. I think what's happening is that, you know, I'm doing the recharge. I'm doing all of the performance line too, and it's so much liquid. And so I'm like, and then I'll have a cup of coffee. So I have to get myself one of those things. I threw away this thing that used to really work for me, this gallon thing. I'd put it out every morning, put lemon in it. And I haven't made the effort to do that. So that's something I'm still working on.
All right. We'll check in with you this week.
Yes. Thank you. The water
I'm much better with my water, I think mainly because my throat has been so sore. That's all that feels so good on my ice cold water. So I've been doing pretty good this week. But
exactly. Well, whatever it takes.
Luckily, that's all I drink, so water
Yes.
isn't a problem for me.
Good.
it's just having to go to the bathroom all the time at work when I can't go.
I know, that's the other thing. And then drinking the recharge at night, I'm sleeping so well, but I have like mom bladder, so it wakes me up, and it's like, nope, you need to.
Yeah. And to be not silly, but all us women know with drinking water and coughing, that's a hard thing to do too.
Absolutely. You're just spending half of your day in the restroom.
Yeah, you got to brace yourself every time you cough.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. My husband said to me the other day, "You're going back to the bathroom." I'm like, "Babe, I gotta go again." I'm like, because I have done a few days where I was good with my water, but it hasn't been consistent. So I'm working on it. It's always been my weak point, always. But I know that I do better. I do see a difference, you know, with everything really when I have more water. So I'm gonna have to find another system for myself for this program, because I've been really good with everything else, but not the water. But, all right, ladies. Well, I'm gonna end the call, and I'm gonna say goodnight. But I really appreciate you getting on and spending time, you know, on here and sharing struggles and successes too. We're all doing really, really well. I love this group a lot, and you know, we're just going to keep getting better. And I like that we're having the long-term mentality, because I know we're going to just keep going. So expect the ups and downs, but we can have each other's back and just encourage each other to keep going. So
all right, have a great night.
All right, you too, ladies.
Good night.
See you in the group.
Good night.
Good night.